Russian cargo plane filled with supplies lands in the USA. As the United States government started to take the approaching danger of COVID-19 truly, it became clear that individual defensive hardware and ventilators would have been hard to find. Accounts of government reserves containing a huge number of unusable ventilators because of support contract terminations and alerts by authorities to confine PPE to individuals who were showing side effects started springing up everywhere throughout the internet. Governors were set to offer against each other for gear from providers, and some emergency clinic laborers had to reuse covers for as long as 7 days at a time. Supplies were an issue. Yet a few nations that weren't at first hit as hard as the United States did what they could to help. Russia filled a plane with provisions and sent them to the United States, which brought about this photo that circled online for a considerable length of time. The airplane was sent to the States following a one-on-one phone call between both countries' pioneers. President Putin made the motion with the thought that should the US see a drop in cases while Russia ends up managing an ascent, the States will respond if need be. Beiruts Cornish Promenade in Lebanon. In the Lebanese city of Beirut, the Cornish Promenade remains as one of the top visitor goals. There is an oceanside promenade fixed with palm trees and a delightful perspective on the ocean, where a great many guests and local people can be seen getting a charge out of the zone consistently. Normally, the site is clamoring with movement, including individuals continuing strolling visits to visiting the nearby cafes. However, wasn't saved from the episode. And during the time of March and into April, Cornish Promenade has been an apparition town. This photo taken by Mohammed Izakir shows the well-known promenade totally without human action of any sort. Gone are the joggers, the walkers, the buskers, the well-known cart sellers, and every other person who might regularly be seen on an, in any case, delightful day. The atypical shot of Cornish Promenade is the consequence of an administration order time limit, leaving numerous on lockdown inside their homes. Sites like this are normal everywhere throughout the world as the COVID-19 emergency declines, and this is only one of numerous comparable pictures discovered everywhere throughout the internet. The Great Mosque and Kaaba in Mecca, Saudi Arabia. Chances are, regardless of whether you're not an individual from the Islamic religion, you are aware of the Great Mosque and Kaaba in Mecca, Saudi Arabia. It's the site of the Hajj, a journey that each Muslim must do in any event once in their lives on the off chance that they can do as such. The site frequently observes upwards of 5 million individuals during the Dhu al-Hijjah on the Islamic schedule. In 2020, it falls between July 22 and August 19 in 2020. And in the event that the world comes back to any similarity to commonality by at that point, a great many individuals will be seen visiting the sacred site. This picture was taken on March 5. And keeping in mind that that is not a date of a specific criticalness on the Islamic schedule, the Great Mosque regularly observes a great many guests on some random day. It because void was because of the administration's structure that it be totally cleaned and disinfected, inspired by a paranoid fear of spreading COVID-19. It opened the following day, yet at the same time observed far less guests than ordinary. One explanation the numbers were low was on the grounds that the kingdom prohibited remote guests from entering the nation on February 27. Social distancing in Colombo, Sri Lanka. While the year 2020 may stand out forever just like the one where a worldwide pandemic cleared over the globe, more individuals will probably recall it with two words: social removing. That is a term not many had ever heard or considered utilizing outside of the intermittent self-observer. Yet with COVID-19 spreading exponentially all through worldwide populaces, social separating turned into the standard. Social orders. where individuals ordinarily welcomed each other with a generous handshake or a kiss on each cheek, end up remaining as a long way from each other as possible. This picture was taken in Sri Lanka by Dinu Kalyanawata outside a supermarket in Colombo. The individuals in the image can be seen wearing covers, and are standing around 1 meter separated. Most governments and the WHO are advising individuals to twofold that separation. Yet it's not constantly conceivable, leaving numerous in perilous, yet frantically needing supplies. Sri Lanka put a check-in time on its residents preceding this photo, however loosened up it for a brief time frame following a respite in recently announced cases. Homeless in Las Vegas sleeping in social distancing grids. During a pandemic where governments are advising the entirety of their residents to self-detach themselves in their homes, it immediately became obvious that there was a sizable populace that couldn't follow that direction. The destitute are at more serious danger of coming down with the illness. Yet that is not exclusively the after-effect of their dozing outside, it's for the most part because of their nearness with each other. Regardless of whether they are in the city or in covers, vagrants frequently wind up stacked intimately with each other, and that makes them vulnerable to COVID-19. And it additionally makes it almost certain that they will contaminate others. Exponential disease is probably the best concern where COVID-19 is concerned, and in urban communities like Las Vegas. The manner in which the city has needed to manage it made global news. Havens had to close in the midst of the emergency, leaving upwards of 500 in the city. The city painted lattices on the upper parking garage of the Cashman Center, with each case being implied as a spot for one individual each to rest. Tragically, all sincere goals being what they are, individuals online called attention to that the squares were excessively near one another, refuting the requirement for social removing, which further spread the picture to others as it got viral. Beiruts Cornish Promenade in Lebanon. In the Lebanese city of Beirut, the Cornish Promenade remains as one of the top visitor goals. There is an oceanside promenade fixed with palm trees and a delightful perspective on the ocean, where a great many guests and local people can be seen getting a charge out of the zone consistently. Normally, the site is clamoring with movement, including individuals continuing strolling visits to visiting the nearby cafes, however, wasn't saved from the episode. And during the time of March and into April, Cornish Promenade has been an apparition town. This photo taken by Mohammed Izakir shows the well-known promenade totally without human action of any sort. Gone are the joggers, the walkers, the buskers, the well-known cart sellers, and every other person who might regularly be seen on an in any case delightful day. The atypical shot of Cornish Promenade is the consequence of an administration order time limit, leaving numerous on lockdown inside their homes. Sites like this are normal everywhere throughout the world as the COVID-19 emergency declines, and this is only one of numerous comparable pictures discovered everywhere throughout the internet. 1. USNS Comfort and the Statue of Liberty. Medical clinic beds, or all the more precisely, the absence of emergency clinic beds turned into an issue not long after COVID-19 arrived at the United States. It bodes well, as medical clinics aren't in the matter of dealing with a worldwide pandemic, they're there to treat and care for patients under ordinary working conditions. That works fine and dandy when the world isn't experiencing a pandemic, yet in urban communities like New York City and Los Angeles, a deficiency of medical clinic beds because of the inundation of COVID-19 patients caused two particular problems. There weren't sufficient beds for COVID-19 patients, and there were practically no beds accessible to individuals experiencing everything else. Individuals requiring medical procedure, chemo treatment, and each other issue people go to the emergency clinic for were running into an absence of limit in treating them. To battle the issue, the USN sent 2 ships, the USNS Comfort and USNS Mercy, to New York City and Los Angeles, individually. The 2 vessels were intended to facilitate the wait by giving 1,000 emergency clinic beds to patients not experiencing COVID-19. However, since they have shown up, the USNS Comfort has taken on patients experiencing the disease. Shots like this one demonstrating the Statue of Liberty in the frontal area of the USNS Comfort spread everywhere throughout the internet as it moved toward the port. The appearance demonstrated a demonstration of help and an indication of expectation in the days to come. Healthcare workers' faces after working with COVID-19 patients for days. A term not many individuals outside of the social insurance industry heard before the emergency. N95 has become one nearly everybody around the globe currently knows. N95 bales are hearty dispensable covers fit for halting the spread of COVID-19 and numerous other airborne pathogens, which is one reason they immediately got vital for the world's social insurance laborers. Sadly, they got increasingly hard to track down as the infection spread, which is the reason such a large number of specialists and medical attendants ended up reusing them for any longer than they ordinarily would have. Supply gives aside, N95 bales function admirably on the grounds that they sit cozily on the face, and aren't the most agreeable things to wear for broadened time frames. During the time of March, individuals started sharing photographs of what they resembled in the wake of working for quite a long time and days while wearing the veils. Appearances wounded around the eyes and mouth turned into a typical sight as increasingly more medicinal services laborers participate with their own shots. The photographs don't simply show wounded and tired individuals, they show the people chipping away at the cutting edges to battle the illness, a significant number of whom worked for a long 12, 18, and 24-hour shifts. Mobile morgues in refrigerated trucks holding bodies in New York City. One scene no one needs to be helped to remember when recollecting this emergency years from now is any that shows the cost the infection has taken on the individuals. Probably the hardest hit urban areas immediately discovered that there wasn't simply going to be an absence of clinic beds for the wiped out, there was likewise going to be a wait on funeral homes, coroners, and undertakers. Everybody was so centered around the requirement for ventilators and medical clinic beds, not many idea of what to do when the bodies started accumulating. Luckily, there were some who prepared, and that carries us to the image included here. This shot, taken by John Minchillo, shows bodies being stacked into refrigerated trucks outside a New York City medical clinic. NYC was one of the hardest hit American urban areas in the beginning of the emergency, and its medical clinics immediately arrived at limit on various administrations, which incorporate the capacity of the dead. The Brooklyn Medical Clinic is one of numerous that have gone to such measures to store bodies, and the city has many. By April 8, in excess of 4,000. Dr. Lee WenLangs selfie from his hospital bed shortly before succumbing to COVID-19. COVID-19 has influenced a huge number of individuals everywhere throughout the world. Yet the most compromised bunch isn't the old and immunocompromised, it's the emergency clinic laborers who battle against the infection consistently. Everywhere throughout the world, specialists, medical attendants, and other medicinal services laborers spend long days and significantly longer evenings watching out for the wiped out and passing on with practically zero individual defensive hardware protecting them. One of the principal specialists to tumble to the infection, however not the first, and unfortunately, not the last, was Dr. Li Wenliang of Wuhan, China. Dr. Li was the informant who sounded the underlying caution over an infection he had been seeing that was like SARS. He was reproved by the Communist Party of China for offering bogus remarks on the internet after getting the infection he was battling against. He snapped this picture from his medical clinic bed. He passed on February 7, and this photo turned into a web sensation. Soon after his passing, the Communist Party of China gave a serious statement of regret for its caution of Dr. Li. However, at that point, the infection had spread outside of the nation's outskirts.